Okay, today we're going to talk about primarily benefits and programs for first-time homebuyers, things that can help you make where you'll get benefit from certain entities to help you buy that house you want so much.
Mhm.
So tell us what you got, Mike.
Sure. Yeah, so there's a lot of programs out there for first-time home buyers. I'm sure as you're aware and I'm aware, but maybe not so people listening to this are aware, but typically with first-time home buyers, one of the biggest hurdles, one of the biggest barriers of entry is the down payment, correct? It can be pretty challenging to come with that much money. And,
Right.
and everybody thinks you need 20%. That's not the case. If you're a first-time buyer, you can do as little as a 3% down payment.
Right.
But, what people don't really think about too, Gary, is the closing costs as well. Right.
Right.
So that kind of add up. So one of the biggest barriers of entry is that cash to close. So uh, there are some great programs out there for first-time home buyers that help with their down payment assistance or closing cost assistance to really reduce that barrier.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, some of the programs out there, um, the easiest way to kind of explain how it works is there's programs at the federal level that you can use pretty much in any state. And then there's state specific programs. And then if you kind of go down even further, there's even some county and city specific programs. So it really all depends on where you're purchasing to see which program one is best for you and what you can qualify for. But generally, in a nutshell, there are going to be income limits to the programs and things like that. So, first time home buyers can't make too much money. The reason why those entities do that is they, want to save the funds for people that need it a little bit more versus higher income earners. Um, but essentially, you're going to take those funds from that down payment entity and they're going to apply that to your loan at closing. So instead of needing $25,000, you might only need $5,000.
And as I understand it, some of these programs don't require repayment.
Correct. Yep.
Some of the programs require a period of time, and after that,
Mhm.
they don't require repayment.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there are what they call loans and grants, and then also forgivable grants. So certain down payment assistance programs, like the one here in the state of Maryland, the Maryland Mortgage Program, typically all of their products for down payment assistance are what they call 0% deferred loans. So let's say you borrow $15,000 from the state for down payment assistance. That $15,000, it just kind of sits on the side. It's like a second mortgage, but you never make any payments on it. It never accrues any interest. The 15,000 will always be the 15,000, but you do eventually have to pay that back to the state when you sell the home, when you refinance the loan, or if you finish your 30-year mortgage term. So typically, most people are going to have equity in their home when those events happen. So you just pay it back through the equity in your home. You're
Right.
not really, writing a check back to the state. The reason why they do that is because the state wants the money back so they can help out the next first-time home buyer.
Sure.
Just kind of
Sure.
recycling those funds. So that's going to be your loan, and then there are ones that are going to be grants. Grants are forgiven day one. So let's say there's a program that's a grant versus a loan. That $15,000, once you sign at the settlement table, the very next day that grant's gone. You never have to pay that back. In my experience, you can always depend on the first time homebuyer loans being available because those funds always kind of keep getting cycled through. The grants kind of come and go because if there's no repayment, it's really hard to, they don't get that money back. So the funds go quicker, it's not being recycled. So those programs kind of come and go based on state funding, federal funding, things like that. So you might not be able to get your hands on that all the time. And those grants do go pretty quick because again, there's no repayment, but the loans are typically, um, always going to be there. And then the third category is the forgivable grant. So that was the one where you were mentioning, where if you
Yes.
live in the home for so many years. So one of the big federal programs is that if you live in the home for 5 years, 20% of that grant's forgiven every year. So after 5 years, you never have to
Oh,
pay it
I
back.
didn't know that distinction.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Five. So there might be some stipulations on the amount of years, but generally it's usually about that 5 year mark. So you have your grants forgiven day one, your forgivable grants that might be X amount of years, typically 5 years before it's fully forgiven, and the loans, which you'll always have to pay those back.
Okay. These are primarily for first-time homebuyers. Is that right?
First time home buyers, and some of these actually do allow for repeat buyers as well, too.
I was going to ask you because there's a definition of a first-time homebuyer that comes into play.
So first time home buyer is anybody that's never owned real estate, anywhere in the world ever. The other definition is if you haven't owned any real estate in the last 3 years. So then you reset and you become a first time home buyer. But actually, Gary, some of these programs too, you don't even need to wait the 3-year period to reset to be a first-time home buyer. You can be a repeat buyer as long as you don't own any other real estate at the time of closing. So some of these programs will allow you to sell your home today, and then tomorrow you can use that uh, down payment assistance program.
Yeah. You know, especially in our environment now, it's people are trying to figure out how in the world can I buy a house. Well, with what you're hearing from Mike, there's options. Even if you have already bought a home, you may be able to take advantage of these options. So I encourage you to talk to Mike and learn more about that. While we're at it, give us a telephone number of anything we need to know about getting a hold of you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we could put our information on display up here, but best way to get a hold of me, yeah, cell phone 443-867-3671. And we'll put our emails on here as well, too, to be able to get a hold of us. But reach out anytime, and just nothing wrong with getting that process started, that communication, because reaching out to me doesn't mean you have to buy a home in the next 2 weeks or 3 months or whatever. It just allows you to get the idea of what's available to you, what the game plan is, and then, once you're comfortable, the numbers make sense, when we move at your pace. We're ready whenever you're ready.
And that's why I like working with this guy. Before we close, anything else going on?
Yeah, I will say one of the things that I think will help, with your, market your sphere of influence, Gary, and the people that you're looking to work with as well for being first-time buyers and also being some senior buyers downsizing. This is going to kind of benefit maybe some more of the senior buyers or the downsizing crowd, or just generally anyone that already owns a home. But, we have a program where you can actually buy your new home now and sell your previous home
Oh,
later.
that's tremendous.
Great
So,
program. That's a great program. Because Gary, you know how it is in the market. Most sellers don't want to take a contingent offer, right? They're afraid to take a contingent offer because there's a lot of things that can go wrong, right? I mean, the financing on the home that you're selling could fall through, and those buyers can't buy your home, which means you can't sell it. That means you don't have the money for the down payment for the new home. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong. So a great way to go in the marketplace would be making a non-contingent offer. And this loan product allows you to do that. We can essentially tap into the equity of the home you're leaving, use that for the down payment on the new home, and then you have up to 6 to 12 months to sell the previous residence, and then you pay that equity loan back. So great way to go, for sure.
oh yeah. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say, if you're thinking about perhaps changing homes, upgrading or whatever, now is the time to do it. The springtime is always the best market. You would have been disappointed if I hadn't said that.
And that loan can be used on any type of home. It doesn't have to be a downsize. You can be upsizing as well too. You just, as long as you're tapping into the equity of your departure residence, that's a viable asset. It's tied to that property, and you can use it as secured, and you can use that for the down payment on the new home.
Thank you, Mike.
Hey, anytime, Jared. Thanks for having me.
Before I leave you all, I do want to tell you about a new program we launched for those approaching retirement to get those retired. You combine it with some of the things Mike's told you about here. It's a very strong program where you get a significant portion of my commissions rebated to you at settlement. We buy the top level photography. We have if work needs to be done on the home, we have professionals that'll collect its settlement. And there's many more things. So talk to me about the Senior Real Estate Transition Advantage. Gary Haynes, thanks for your time.
Thank you.